The halls of royal memory are rarely still, but right now, they echo with a quiet indignation. In the gardens of the monarchy, the grass may still be trimmed. The flags may still fly at half-mast, yet behind closed doors a storm is gathering. At the eye of that storm stands one of its most steadfast figures, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. While most of the world watches the swirling headlines around Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and his ever-deepening crisis, it is Anne who now appears to be the silent arbiter of royal virtue. She is not loud, she does not court glamour. Yet in the catalogue of royal service she is unmatched, and now in the face of disgrace and uncertainty, she appears to have drawn a line. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. The narrative is deceptively simple. Andrew, once a prince with global standing, has been stripped of titles, rated with scandal, and yet remains ahead of his older sister in the line of succession. Anne has worked quietly in the background, more associated with medals and missions than tabloids and headlines. But the rules of succession do not recognize merit. They recognize bloodline and primogeniture, and in that fault line, the story becomes more than personal. It becomes institutional. Anne's public face is composed. In private, sources say, she is fed up, a phrase used by royal commentators such as Christopher Anderson and echoed in outlets like Marie Claire. She is aligned with her brother King Charles. 3. In the calls for accountability and the restoration of the monarchy's reputation. That alignment is telling. Because while Charles issues deeds and decrees, Anne simply carries on working. Meanwhile, Andrew waits. Let's be clear on the facts. Andrew remains 8th in line to the throne. He remains legally ahead of Anne, despite the lifetime of service she has given. The reason is vocabulary, not virtue, male preference, primogeniture. Abolished for those born after the 28th of October 2011 by the Succession to the Crown Act, 2013. Does not apply to an or her generation. The system, therefore, locks her into a lesser position, not because of her deeds, but because of her gender. Behind the scenes, many see that as a contradiction too glaring to ignore. Anne's record speaks for itself. In recent years she has consistently carried out more engagements than almost any other senior royal. Engagements that range from wielding a sword at investitures, to riding with troops, to meeting heads of state. Her purpose is service, not headlines. When the world sees pictures of Anne laying wreaths or inspecting cadets, they do not see a princess chasing media. They see duty incarnate. Against that, Andrew's public profile has been collapsed. Since the 2019 BBC interview and the revelations connected with his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, his role has been diminished. Titles revoked, engagements gone. The House Oversight Committee in the United States has requested a transcribed interview with him regarding financial records containing notations such as massage for Andrew. That letter, dated the 6th of November, 2025, co-signed by 16 Democratic committee members, represents something more than inquiry. It is an international signal that the royal facade has limits. When, it seems, sees the contrast sharply, not in bitterness, but in bemusement. A sister who has served without pause sees a brother who once held full privilege, now sliding into near irrelevance. A monarchy that praises loyalty and duty must reconcile itself with a reality that places the brother ahead of the sister, even now stripped of privilege. She is, according to insiders, quietly furious. As fed up with Andrew as Charles and William are, says a quoted expert. What does this tell us about her viewpoint? First, that Anne values the code of royal service above all else. One of her favorite lines, repeated in the archives of her engagements, is, "I'm here to work, I'm here to do good things." That phrase appears consistently in profiles and defines how she views her role. She is less interested in succession and more invested in substance. When others speak of titles, she speaks of missions. Second, she appears to believe that the monarchy must align with its own values, not just symbolically, but structurally. Because what good is symbolism if the system contradicts it? For Anne, the scenario of her younger brother, disgraced and disrobed, still outranking her, and remaining in the line, must feel like a breakdown of logic. The royal family speaks of service. The law speaks of gender-neutral succession. Yet she remains penalized by a rule that no longer reflects modern values. Third, there is no public record of her actively lobbying to remove Andrew from succession. But that does not mean she does not support stronger measures. The reporting suggests she has long sided with the king in the need for change. The phrase used by a palisade, Anne, represents everything the monarchy is supposed to stand for: hard work and respect. For Andrew, it's a bitter pill. Stylecaster, that matters. Because it tells us her anger is not about personal grievance, it is about institutional integrity. To portray her perspective in script-worthy form, imagine Anne standing on a parade ground full of cadets, medals, glinting, silent in her dignity, while the world watches her brother's name in headlines for all the wrong reasons. The institutional imbalance must hurt, not because it denies her ambition. She rarely mentions ambition, but because it rewards scandal over stewardship. That must feel wrong to someone whose life has been defined by opposite values. Anne's silence is also telling. She has not given media interviews about her brother's crisis. She has not appeared on talk shows or posted defiant statements. She tours abroad in Australia. In early November 2025, she marched into Sydney for the centenary of the Royal Australian Corps of Signals amid the palace turmoil. News.com.au, that visit becomes part of her message. Duty, independent of drama. The storm may swirl, but she remains anchored. In preparing this narrative, we must be careful. While there is commentary suggesting Anne's frustration, it remains second-hand. Sources say, royal experts claim, insiders suggest these are the phrases that matter. There is no quote from Anne demanding Andrew's removal from the succession. There is no statement issued by Buckingham Palace that records such a request. So in the telling, we must distinguish between what she has said and what is reported she feels. Nevertheless, the possibility of change now rests on her generation. If succession is to evolve beyond gender preference and scandal immunity, Anne becomes a crucial figure, not for herself, but for the principle. The legal barrier remains high. Removing someone from the line of succession would require parliamentary legislation and consent from all Commonwealth realms. A king cannot do it by fiat. That means any action would be slow, contested, landmark-making. But for Anne, the principle is clear: those who serve should stand ahead of those who disgrace. Yet the rulebook says something else. Think of the imagery: a sister larger in deeds, but smaller in rank. A brother diminished in status, but fixed in place. Anne's view is personal and institutional. She sees the monarchy's mission, but also its machine, and wonders why the machine still runs on outdated fuel. And in that, she may not be seeking change for herself so much as building a bridge for future generations, one where service is rewarded and gender is irrelevant. As the rest of the family negotiates public relations and titles, Anne carries on. She visits charities, meets servicemen, tours overseas. She strides into those engagements with quiet purpose. Behind her calm exterior, there is the weight of contradiction, a monarchy proclaiming modernity while living in the past. Her view, however quietly held, may be the seed of a deeper transformation. Yet it remains to be seen whether the institution will heed that seed. Will King Charles act? Will Parliament consider her generation's realignment? Or will the matter fade beneath the politeness of palace tradition and the inertia of statute? Anne may not demand the spotlight, but in the silent corridors of Windsor, her question rings out loud. If service matters, why does the law still favor birth alone? In the end, this is not simply about one sister or one scandal. It is about what the monarchy stands for and whether it can choose values over lineage. Anne's viewpoint is shaped not by resentment, but by reason. She is not asking for recognition. She is asking for coherence. and coherence in an institution built on ceremony is a rare commodity. So while the headlines chase Andrew's every move, the letters from Congress, the exile from Royal Lodge, the titles revoked, Princess Anne remains the quiet constant. She is the witness to legacy and the keeper of standard. And though she rarely speaks, her presence speaks volumes. When history tests the monarchy, it does not fetch fanfare. It asks for character. And in that test, Princess Anne may already have passed, but the system she serves still awaits its verdict.